Imagine standing at a crossroads, certain that which path you take is yours to choose. But what if every thought, every hesitation, every decision was set in motion long before you ever arrived there? The unsettling truth is that free will, the very foundation of human identity, morality, and purpose, may not exist in the way we believe. And yet, paradoxically, it may be the most powerful illusion we've ever created. For centuries, the debate over free will was confined to philosophy and theology. But today, neuroscience, quantum physics, artificial intelligence, and even criminal justice are converging on a startling realization: the choices we believe we make freely may be the product of forces beyond our conscious control. And yet, this revelation doesn't diminish our agency, it redefines it in ways that could reshape civilization itself. The implications are staggering. If free will is an illusion, does that mean justice is meaningless? Is love just chemistry? Is ambition nothing more than predetermined neural firing? Or is there a deeper, more profound way to understand what it means to choose, one that doesn't rely on outdated notions of complete control? To unravel this, we must first confront the experiments that shattered the traditional view of decision-making. In 1983, Benjamin Libet's groundbreaking study revealed that the brain initiates actions before we're consciously aware of making a decision. Electrical activity in the motor cortex spikes a full half-second before subjects report deciding to move their finger. Later studies expanded this window to 7 seconds, and today, with advanced machine learning, researchers can predict simple decisions with alarming accuracy before the subject even realizes they've made a choice. Asterisk, this isn't just about button presses. The same unconscious processes govern everything from which political candidate we prefer to who we fall in love with. Our brains construct narratives to explain these choices after the fact, creating the illusion of conscious control. That self we believe is making decisions may be more of a storyteller than a true author, a press secretary justifying actions already taken by unseen forces. But this doesn't mean we're mere puppets. The brain isn't a simple input-output machine, it's a dynamic system where competing networks, emotional, rational, instinctive, battle for dominance. What we call free will may be this very competition, the emergent property of a mind constantly rewriting its own programming. In this light, free will isn't an all-or-nothing phenomenon, but a spectrum of influence we can expand through self-awareness and deliberate practice. Society operates on the assumption of free will, and for good reason. Studies show that disbelief in free will leads to increased cheating, reduced perseverance, and diminished sense of meaning. The legal system hinges on personal responsibility. Relationships depend on the idea that love and loyalty are chosen. If we abandon the concept entirely, the social fabric might unravel. But what if we've been asking the wrong question all along? Instead of "do we have free will?" perhaps we should ask, what kind of free will is useful to believe in? Philosopher Daniel Dennett argues that free will is real, but not in a magical, unmoved mover sense. It's the human capacity to reflect, imagine futures, and act based on reasons, even if those reasons are themselves the product of prior causes. In this view, we're not exempt from causality, but we're not helpless either. Like a river that can't choose its source but can carve canyons over time, our choices accumulate into genuine self-creation. The consequences extend beyond abstract philosophy. The justice system's focus on punishment assumes offenders could have chosen differently, but what if their brains, shaped by genetics and trauma, made violence inevitable? Should we punish differently if crime is determined? Conversely, if success is largely the product of luck and privilege, does meritocracy collapse? These aren't hypotheticals, they're questions already transforming legal theory and social policy. Even more radical is the possibility that free will exists because we believe in it. The placebo effect demonstrates how beliefs can alter biology. Similarly, the conviction that we can change may be what allows change to occur. In this paradoxical loop, free will becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not because it breaks the laws of physics, but because the belief alters how those laws manifest in complex systems like human minds and societies. The truth may lie beyond the traditional dichotomy of free will versus determinism. Quantum mechanics suggests the universe isn't perfectly predictable. Chaos theory shows how tiny differences compound into entirely new trajectories. And cutting-edge neuroscience reveals brains as prediction engines, constantly generating possible futures and selecting among them. In this light, free will isn't about being uncaused, but about being a cause, a node in the web of reality that bends the future in unique ways. This understanding doesn't diminish human dignity, it grounds it in reality rather than myth. We may not have libertarian free will, but we have something perhaps more precious: the ability to shape ourselves and our world within the constraints of physics, biology, and circumstance. The choices we make today influence who we become tomorrow, even if we didn't choose the factors that shape today's choices. The greatest power of free will may be the realization that it's not an on-off switch, but a skill, one we can strengthen through mindfulness, education, and designing environments that foster better decisions. This is why the free will debate matters. Not to prove we're powerless, but to understand how power actually works, and how we can wield it more effectively in a universe that is neither fully determined nor magically free. In the next part, we'll explore how time itself may hold the key, whether the future is already written, how quantum physics complicates the picture, and why some scientists believe consciousness might literally shape reality. But for now, consider this. Even if our choices are influenced by factors beyond our control, the act of questioning, seeking, and striving to understand may be the most authentic expression of free will there is. After all, you chose to watch this. Or did you? What if the future already exists? Not as possibility, but as fact, waiting patiently for us to arrive? This isn't science fiction. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, the distinction between past, present, and future may be nothing more than a stubborn illusion. And if that's true, what happens to free will? We think of time as a river carrying us forward, our choices carving new branches in its flow. But physics paints a stranger picture, a block universe where all moments, your birth, your death, every decision you'll ever make, exist simultaneously, like frames in a cosmic film reel. In this view, free will faces its greatest challenge yet. Yet at the quantum level, reality behaves differently. Particles exist in superpositions, seemingly deciding their states only when observed. Some scientists propose this quantum indeterminacy could provide the wiggle room needed for genuine free will. But is this hope, or just wishful thinking? The block universe paradox. Einstein's equations treat time as a dimension no different than space. From this perspective, your entire life already exists stretched across time, just as your body exists stretched across space. The you reading these words right now is no more privileged than the you of 10 years ago or 10 years from now. This raises disturbing questions. If the future is already out there, unchanging, then are our choices real? Or are we simply experiencing a predetermined script, mistaking the turning of pages for actual authorship? Philosopher Arthur Eddington proposed a chilling metaphor. We're like characters in a novel who believe we're making decisions, unaware we're just ink on pages written long ago. The block universe suggests free will may be impossible, unless we're missing something fundamental. Quantum uncertainty, a loophole for freedom? Enter quantum mechanics, where particles defy common sense. An electron isn't here or there until measured, it exists as a probability cloud. Some theorists, like Nobel laureate Roger Penrose, suggest this quantum fuzziness could allow for non-algorithmic decision-making in the brain. The idea is controversial. Critics point out that quantum effects typically get washed out at the scale of neurons. But what if consciousness itself exploits quantum phenomena? Some experiments even suggest the act of observation can slightly alter past events, hinting that the present might influence the past as much as the past influences the present. If true, this turns causality on its head. Your choices today might ripple backward as well as forward, blurring the line between cause and effect in ways that could make room for genuine agency. Time's arrow and the power of now. Here's the paradox. While physics suggests all time exists equally, we experience a relentless flow from past to future. This arrow of time emerges from thermodynamics, the tendency toward entropy, disorder. But in the quantum realm, particles don't care about time's direction. Photons experience no time at all. Could consciousness be exploiting this gap? Some theories propose that the present moment is where quantum possibilities collapse into classical reality, meaning your now might be the only point where free will can operate, a knife's edge between a fixed past and an open future. This aligns with ancient meditative traditions that locate freedom in present moment awareness. If the past is memory and the future is imagination, perhaps free will exists only in the eternal now, a viewpoint both cutting-edge physics and mindfulness practices strangely agree on. Artificial intelligence, the mirror of our dilemma. As we build AI systems that mimic human decision-making, we're forced to ask, does a self-driving car have free will? What about ChatGPT? These machines make choices, but we recognize them as outputs of code and data. Yet, aren't human decisions similarly the output of neurons and biochemistry? The key difference may be consciousness, but we don't even know if AI can be conscious. If it ever is, would its choices be any freer than ours? This isn't just philosophical navel-gazing. As AI enters law, medicine, and even art, we'll need to define what counts as a free decision for machines and ourselves. The future of free will. Emerging technologies are about to test free will in unprecedented ways. Brain-computer interfaces could one day allow thoughts to directly control machines, but who's controlling the thoughts? Neuroimaging advances might soon predict crimes before they're committed, Minority Report style. Will we hold people accountable for actions their brains were predisposed to take? The most radical possibility? That free will isn't something we have, but something we create. Through education, social structures, and technologies that expand our capacity for self-direction. In this view, freedom isn't a starting condition, it's an achievement. As we stand at the brink of merging with machines, decoding consciousness, and perhaps even altering the fabric of time, one thing becomes clear: the question of free will isn't just about understanding ourselves, it's about deciding what we want to become. In Part 3, we'll explore how free will might evolve in the coming century, and why the answer could determine whether humanity flourishes or loses its way entirely. The true power of free will. We stand at the most dangerous crossroads in human history. Not because our choices are being taken from us, but because we're gaining the power to alter the very nature of choice itself. What happens to free will when we can reprogram our own brains, merge with artificial intelligence, or even edit our desires like computer code? This isn't science fiction. Right now, brain implants restore movement to the paralyzed. AI writes novels and composes symphonies. CRISPR edits genes with precision. As these technologies converge, we are forced to ask, will the future expand human freedom beyond recognition, or make free will obsolete? Neural upgrades and the fragmentation of self. Imagine a neural implant that enhances willpower. At first, it seems like the ultimate tool for free will, finally overcoming procrastination, addiction, bad habits. But who is really choosing now? You? Or the algorithm nudging your decisions? This is already happening in crude forms. Deep brain stimulation for Parkinson's can unexpectedly alter personality. ADHD medications change not just focus, but core identity. As neurotechnology advances, we may face a paradox: the more we optimize our brains, the less recognizable our own minds become. Philosophers call this the continuity of consciousness problem. If you gradually replace neurons with silicon chips, at what point do you stop existing? And if the new hybrid mind makes better choices, who deserves credit? AI co-pilots and the illusion of autonomy. ChatGPT today helps write emails. Tomorrow, AI assistants may whisper career advice, suggest romantic partners, even guide moral decisions. Studies show we already conform to algorithmic suggestions without realizing it. What happens when AI knows us better than we know ourselves? This creates a new kind of determinism. Not from physics or biology, but from machine learning models trained on our past behavior. Your Netflix recommendations already shape what you watch. Soon, AI life coaches could similarly shape who you become, creating feedback loops that feel like free will but are really just sophisticated puppetry. Yet there's another possibility: AI as a tool for expanding agency. Imagine personalized education that adapts to how you think, helping overcome cognitive limitations. therapy AIs that help untangle subconscious biases. Rather than replacing free will, such tools could help us actualize it more fully. The end of desire, programming what we want. The most radical threat to free will may come from controlling not just our choices, but our desires themselves. Scientists have already identified addiction switches in rodent brains. Future technologies might let us dial down cravings, eliminate jealousy, or even induce artificial passions. This raises existential questions. If you can choose what to want, what's left of authentic will? Buddhist monks spend decades mastering their desires through meditation. What happens when a brain implant can do it instantly? Some transhumanists welcome this as true freedom, liberation from evolutionary baggage. Critics warn it's the ultimate alienation, making us strangers to our own souls. Both agree, we're entering uncharted psychological territory. The augmented future. For scenarios. The enhanced self. Free will flourishes as technology helps us overcome biological limits. We edit negative impulses while preserving core identity, using AI as a mirror rather than a master. The post-human mosaic. Consciousness becomes distributed across biological and artificial systems. Choice emerges from decentralized networks, making traditional free will obsolete, but creating new forms of agency. The algorithmic colony. Gradually, imperceptibly, we outsource more decisions to AI systems optimized for happiness and efficiency. Individual free will atrophies like an unused muscle, but society runs smoothly. The Neo-Luddite rebellion. A backlash against augmentation leads to strict limits on neurotechnology. Free will is preserved by refusing to enhance it, keeping human nature authentic but constrained. Which future emerges may be the most important choice humanity ever makes. Assuming we still have the capacity to choose. In Part 4, we'll confront the ultimate question: in a universe of either determinism or chaos, can free will ever be more than a beautiful myth? And does it matter, as long as we live as if it's real? At the heart of the human experience lies a beautiful contradiction. We act as though we are free, even as every law of nature whispers that we are not. This paradox is not a flaw in our thinking, but the very engine of civilization. What if free will is not a fact of the universe, but a necessary fiction more powerful than reality itself? The two prisoners. Imagine two prisoners in adjacent cells. One believes in free will. He spends his days planning, exercising, studying law to appeal his case. The other is convinced his fate is predetermined. He eats when food comes, sleeps when tired, but makes no effort to change his circumstances. They live in identical conditions, yet inhabit entirely different worlds. Now ask yourself, which prisoner is truly free? The answer reveals the astonishing power of belief to shape reality. Not by altering the physical world, but by determining what possibilities we see. And what paths we dare to take. The physics of possibility. At the quantum level, particles behave unpredictably. Some claim this allows for free will, but randomness is not freedom. A dice roll isn't free just because the outcome is uncertain. True freedom requires purpose, the ability to act according to values and reasons. Yet here's the miracle: human consciousness transforms quantum randomness into meaningful choice. When you wrestle with a moral dilemma, your brain's quantum-scale processes may provide the variability needed for genuine creativity in decision-making. The uncertainty principle doesn't guarantee free will, but it leaves the door open. The evolutionary advantage of believing. Nature selected for organisms that behave as if they have agency. Early humans who believed "I chose to hunt this prey" survived better than those who thought "my molecules moved me here." The belief itself, regardless of its metaphysical truth, became an adaptive advantage. Modern studies confirm this. People primed with deterministic ideas show less persistence on difficult tasks. Patients who believe in self-determination recover faster from illness. The placebo effect works even when people know it's a placebo, because the act of choosing to take a pill triggers real physiological changes. The architecture of responsibility. Society is built on the scaffolding of assumed free will. Criminal law. education systems, economic policies, all rely on the idea that people can and should make choices. But what happens when we learn these foundations are imaginary? Consider Norway's prisons, where offenders are treated as people who made bad choices rather than broken mechanisms. The recidivism rate is 20%, compared to 76% in the US. This suggests that being treated as free makes people act more freely, regardless of philosophical truth. The future of the illusion. As AI and neuroscience advance, we'll gain godlike abilities to predict and manipulate human behavior. The greatest challenge won't be technological, but moral. How do we preserve the fiction of free will while knowing exactly how the gears turn? Perhaps the answer lies in recognizing that free will isn't something we have, but something we do. Like dancing isn't just physics despite being bound by it, human choice transcends its mechanical underpinnings through meaning and self-reflection. The ultimate choice. Here's the final paradox: whether free will really exists may matter less than our commitment to living as if it does. The prisoner who acts freely changes his world, even if his initial incarceration was determined. The scientist who believes in her hypotheses makes discoveries, even if her curiosity was shaped by genes. In the end, the true power of free will may be this: it is the story that enables us to rewrite our stories. The illusion that ceases to be illusory when we live into it fully. Not a gift from the universe, but an achievement of consciousness, one we must choose again every single day. So as you leave this video and return to your life, ask yourself not do I have free will, but what will I do with the will I have? Because in that question, regardless of its metaphysical status, lies the entirety of human dignity, progress, and hope. If you've made it this far, you clearly chose to keep watching, or did you? The comment section awaits your determined, or free, thoughts below.